not every day is a happy day. There's always life coming at you with hurdles and obstacles, but we are stronger together because one of our key components is that we have open communication, and we've learned how to talk about things so we can solve problems. And what I like to do is share my mistakes.
Welcome to Coaches on the Couch, the place where experts share their journey and inspire you to take action. My name is Pratishtha Bhalla and I will be your host for this show. Today we have with us Mr. Gary Martinez. He is a fitness trainer, an author, and someone who has experienced very closely how it is like to be with a child living with autism. He has learned how to help exhausted autism parents build unlimited energy to enjoy life to their fullest with their kids by working on his own relationship with his daughter for over 16 years. So, what he shares today is not something theoretical, but something that he has actually applied in his life over and over again and achieved great results. If you are someone who has a child currently undergoing the symptom of autism, or you know someone, please share this video with them and do subscribe to this channel so that you don't miss the opportunity of learning from experts who are coming here every week. Gary, welcome to Coaches on the Couch. As we were speaking earlier, you mentioned about how your life changed after your daughter was born. So please let us know how and when you realized that your daughter is struggling with autism.
Sure. So when my daughter was roughly diagnosed around age 4, she couldn't speak at the time. And at that time, I just felt helpless as a parent. I felt emotionally drained, physically and mentally, because I didn't know what to do to help her. And then from there, we started to get our first steps. We had to go to intervention therapy. So this is all, new territory for me. But I wanted to learn how to help my daughter out with her daily life. So, learned a lot from these therapists. I went in there like a student. I took a notebook, I took pens, and I took notes, I asked questions, and I gave myself homework. So shortly as we're going through our therapy classes, I'm learning what types of activities help Monica's, her brain and her body to connect. And then a little down the road, she finally started to speak. And then when I started to learn the things that help her out in life, like for a lot of girls, they like to focus on like pretend play or favorite movies and things like that. To them, it's very, they get emotionally attached. So it's very therapeutic for them and helps them feel relaxed and focus in their world, how they see the world. So I would have to learn how to memorize these favorite types of movies and particular scenes that were very important to her. And then I brought in the tools from we learned at therapies, certain activities, and just how to make that our own recipe of life for the day. So, for example, if we had to go to school, if we were on a weekday, we would go to school about 20 minutes early, and we go to the playground and we would start swinging, which is her favorite thing to do. And then we would talk or sing. We would either sing a song or talk about a favorite subject. And then we get off the swing and go do some more activities around the playground. And at that 20 minutes right there would help her body and brain like become best friends so it could be organized and be prepared for going into school, which is unpredictable. So that's kind of a snapshot, and that's kind of our routine still to this day. We have evolved, and it's just, it's fun hanging out with my daughter. It's like we're best friends.
That's great to know that you have learned from the therapist and you went there as a student. I'm curious, how does one know that the child is currently having those symptoms of autism? Like you said, you detected it at the age of 4. Uh, is there any way to detect it earlier or?
Yes, usually it's really good if you can catch it younger, like around 2 years of age, but that didn't happen for us. And, this was new territory again for me. So it was some basic signs as far as like, you call your kid's name, you call them by their name, but they don't respond back to you. They don't want to play or anything like that. They rather be by themselves. Eye contact is very hard for a lot of our kids. So it's like intimidating. Um, and then just that we like to repeat things or do the same thing over and over, which one thing we did at that age was like line up cars, and doing that is like a form of therapy to herself to kind of feel comfortable in her own environment. So it's just things like that. Socially, well, we weren't talking at that time, but a lot of for a lot of kids, not all of them, but we have difficulties making a conversation happen. So those are a few of the signs that we knew something was different and we needed to get help.
Mm. So this, I understood that the earliest symptom could be when the child is not responding to the names and is not able to focus at some point, even at the age of 2. Am I hearing it correctly?
Correct.
Okay. So how did your life changed once you came to know that your daughter is having autism?
Okay, so yeah, during that time, I was into my early fitness trainer years, and I was working for a company, for a gym. But I said, you know what, my daughter needs extra help, so I decided to be a athlete for my daughter, and I took that leap of faith and became an entrepreneur where I was an independent fitness trainer, so I can have more control of my schedule, help more people out, and at the same time, be home more to help my daughter out. So that was one big change right there.
Hmm. I think that is a big change when you are leaving your own comfort zone and you are taking that leap of faith to start your own business for your daughter. It's not something you decided before you found out about that symptom. So the life of a lot of parents change once they detect that their children have some special needs. So how can they still live a normal life despite these conditions or any other health conditions of their child?
Yes. So my job as a parent is to learn as much from my daughter as I can because she is the true teacher, and to learn all the things that she likes to do in her life that may not be things that the mainstream kids do. That's what's important to her. That's what makes her happy, and that's the focus, is to learn and do the things that she wants to do. So I had to get actively involved. I would watch from the beginning the things that she liked, and then I would repeat it. And then when she sees that you put that effort in, then you gain her respect, you gain her trust and her confidence, and then it opens the door up to do more things with her. So that was my first step, was to understand that, to me, my analogy is comes from fitness. It's like, when you go do a workout, if you warm up first your body to prepare for that, you're going to have better results. So for me, it's like I have to give her our warm up, which is do things that she likes in order for us to make a transition. So the rest of her day is more enjoyable for her, because her happiness should be the priority. And that's how I look at it with my daughter. Each day is to do things that are important to her, and then we like fluidly work into other parts of the day, learn life skills and so forth.
So when you are constantly thinking about your daughter, uh, is it happening somewhere that you yourself feel like loss of energy in that case?
Yes. So at the beginning, like I said earlier, like, I didn't know anything. I felt helpless. I felt like a failure. I was mentally drained. I was not prepared for this, that we were different. And at that time, my daughter was having meltdowns, because she couldn't express herself. And also things in the environment trigger our kids to have meltdowns. So I didn't have that energy mentally or physically. So it really drained me as a person. So I had to later on learn some tools to help me out, because if I'm not at my best, if I'm not prepared first before my daughter wakes up, I'm not going to give her my best so she can have her best. So it was definitely a life-changing experience for me, and it's part of my daily routine now.
So Gary, before I come to the tools that you used for yourself, I'm also curious on the aspect of sibling. So you mentioned you have two kids and your daughter is having autism, as we were speaking before, but your son is, I think you mentioned he's completely normal.
Yes.
So does he, how are their relationship?
It's good. In the beginning, it was kind of like me and my daughter. Like my son was like, he has a different mother, so he lives a little further away. So I got the mothers to coordinate schedules so they can have time together. And my son is a loving, caring person, and he's her best play partner. And he was just, confused at the beginning. He was like, "Dad, I want to play with my sister, but I don't know how." And I said, "Okay, let's make this simple. Here's what you want to do. Watch how I play with your sister. And when you're ready, jump in. And when you have questions, just ask." So when he was ready and he jumped in, he played with her and he understood that, we play a little differently, and that's okay because it's learning. And when he got really good with her, as I said earlier, we like these certain characters in movies, but we also make up our own characters. So we make up our own pretend characters. So he made up some pretend characters for her, and she likes it. And the thing about that again is like when you go into their world and she accepts you because she can feel the energy that you really want to make that connection and share, that time with her, and then she's happy. So they make up these characters and they have a good relationship. And another thing that I like is that when that also happens, before you know it, she's starting to like things that you like. Like she likes, I wanna listen to the music that you like, Christian, because Christian's 12 years old, but he's a mature kid and a really good kid. So it helps her learn too. So they're both helping each other, and it's just it's a win-win on both sides when that happens.
That's quite rare, I would say, because even when I have seen, like when we are kids, we are always trying to fight with our siblings so that we can get more attention from the parents. And how is it like when as one parent is specially focused on that special child? No, does it take away your attention to your girl while the boy feels ignored? Has it ever happened?
So that's a good question. I wish more people would ask. I'm glad you asked that question. So I have to, I'm always very alert and I observe. And I know that Monica gets more attention. I have conversations with Christian about that. And I make it a point that we're going to make time for us too. So I make it a point to make time to make him a priority also. So we have some time together. And then it helps us reset. He feels that he's being served and we're spending time together as people. And we go out for things like hikes and do things like that he likes. And I want to make sure that everyone gets, you know, proper attention, and it's a little different on each end. And it's also he's very understanding, so it's been working out pretty good. Not every day is a happy day. There's always life coming at you with hurdles and obstacles, but we are stronger together because one of our key components is that we have open communication, and we've learned how to talk about things so we can solve problems. And what I like to do is share my mistakes. When I make a mistake, I want to share it to them. So when something like that happens to them, they feel comfortable coming to me, because we had a story the other day really quick where my son accidentally left bananas in the backpack. And bananas, if they're closed up, they're going to turn and get slimy and gushy. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, Christian." And I was like, "It's okay." I was like, and I told him my story. I did it too, but I left those in there for a couple of weeks and they were really bad. So we laughed about it, and I just try to keep our communication open so we can solve problems together and just be stronger for it.
Yeah, I think communication is the biggest reason, one of the biggest reasons why the relationships today are collapsing. So, how do you keep yourself open, communicate with them? Uh, because sometimes the parents think, how can I share with my kids everything? So, how do you draw that line that you are a parent at the same time you are a friend and openly communicate?
Yeah, so the kids know that I'm in charge, but I don't act that way. They respect me because I respect them. So just because I'm older than them doesn't give me the right to think that I'm better than them. So I have it the way we speak to each other is that we're on an equal playing field. Nobody is better than nobody. So that's just kind of the mentality that I have. So they listen to me, and because we have that mutual respect for each other.
I really like the line. I respect them, so they respect me. I think that says it all. Has it always been like this, or did some event change the way you are working towards this?
Yeah, so it wasn't like that before. Exactly. There was chaos because I didn't understand this, and my daughter was having her troubles, and my son has, everyone has troubles and struggles. It's just that you have to make a decision that if you want things to be better, you gotta change to change. So it's just learning from our own experiences and to want to be better for everything. So we've had to come a long way, and it's just made us making us better people towards each other and towards out there in the public, just to share that same energy.
So, was there any particular moment that gave you like, no, I need to change something?
For myself, back in the beginning parts when my daughter was diagnosed, was I wasn't taking the best care of myself. Um, I wasn't consistent with any type of health routine. I wasn't respecting my body, so I wasn't eating the best. I wasn't committed to a schedule to making my life be from going through the motions to being productive. So I wasn't as productive back then. So I just wasn't doing very well. It's just going through the motions of life, and it eventually catches up to you.
So you mentioned to me earlier when we were speaking that some mentors had changed your life in some way. What was it? How did your life got changed, and how did you started opening up for communication and changing your ways?
So I had to have a little self-talk with myself, one-on-one. And I had to tell myself that if I want to be a better parent, a better person with everything I do in my life, that I needed to make some changes. So I started to to do like exercises and stuff like that on a consistent basis, not going like full blast with it, but just doing like one at a time, just to get the needle moving. And then I started to slowly eat better, and I started to focus more on my mind, as far as not letting my mind get the best of me and control me as a person, but me being more in control of myself, so I can do all these things and be better organized in my day, be more happy with myself, give myself that self-love first, so I can share that with people and it's more authentic. So just making those changes to have a little bit more self-discipline and to hold myself accountable have been the biggest changes, just to be more active and to eat better and to be more in control of my thoughts. So emotionally, I'm a stable and better person and happier for myself and everybody around me.
Yeah, that's great to know that you have worked on yourself. And you mentioned that you were using some tools helps you to retain your energy. Would you like to share at least three of those tools that the parents can use?
Yes, yes, absolutely. I would just say, like one stretch, like in the morning, before that sun rises and we have to start our routine, and before we head out that door, or the family wakes up, because that's when the noise comes and the day starts. Is if you can do something before that, like maybe you do one stretch or one exercise, you're already preparing yourself mentally and physically for the day. If you have like one thing that's healthy for you to eat, like a piece of fruit, that if you put that inside your body, you're gonna feel better. You're gonna get energy from those things right there. A stretch, an exercise, a piece of fruit, and also talking to yourself positively. Maybe you're doing meditation where you're just doing an inhale and exhale, and then you're only doing it for about a minute. If you give yourself that time, it prepares you, it kind of armors you for the day, so you can have that energy to get through. And even if you can't get like all three of those, maybe you get one done, and then you do one during the day when you have a chance. Make a little time for yourself, just short time, and then put another one in there so you can get what you need to have a great day and have that energy that you want, because you want to spend time with your loved ones, you want to spend time with your kids, and you want to enjoy every moment of life.
Yeah, and for that you yourself need to take care of yourself first before you can take care of anyone else. I think that's great to know. Gary, what has been the most beautiful part of this 16-year journey? I know your daughter is 16 now, so what has been the most beautiful part of it?
Just watching her continually just progress in life. Like I said, we went from non-talking, now we're talking, and it she just continues to pick up more skills in her life. She can socialize now, and on her own she likes to make new friends. So I really like when we go out in public, that on her own she will start talking to people. Like if we're at the park and she sees a smaller kid come to the swing next to her, she'll ask her some questions like, "Hi, I'm Monica, what's your name?" And she'll start a conversation. So that's just like really rewarding to see. I just take a step back and watch. So I like it.
Wow, so she's making great progress. What would be your one message to parents who are having kids with the special needs?
For the parents of kids with special needs, I would say that, you're doing a very good job, and you go above and beyond for your kid. So make sure that you give yourself that credit and that self-love towards yourself, because I know we have some tough moments in our day, and you may not think that you're doing everything for your child, but take a second and reflect and think about all the things that you have done during the day, so you can feel good about that. And then just take things one at a time, because your kid loves you because of everything you're doing for them. So just show yourself that positive energy.
Yeah, so your kids love you. You also need to love yourself. Thanks for that
Exactly.
beautiful message, Gary. And thank you so much for your time. Before we end the call, I would just like to share that Gary has written an amazing book and he has shared it with me. I'll be putting a link in the comment box. So make sure you go there and you download that book and you enjoy it, and let us know how you felt about the interview, how you felt about the book. If you have any questions, feel free to put it in the comment box, and me or Gary, either of us would answer you the questions. Feel free to ask any question, and I will also be putting the contact links of Gary. So please go to his links, and just if you want to have a conversation, talk to him. So thank you so much, Gary, for being here. Anything you would like to share before we end the call?
Just enjoy each day. Like, I live life to the fullest. So just live your day like to the fullest, because tomorrow is not guaranteed, and you're going to go to bed with like no regrets. You're going to go to bed feeling fulfilled in life. So just keep that spirit.
Great. Thank you so much, Gary. I hope everyone enjoyed this episode. I'll meet you in the next episode with another amazing expert. Till then, keep smiling and keep shining. It's me, Pratishtha Bhalla.